One day you'll walk into a store and the food you grew up with simply won't be there anymore. Not because we ran out, not because farmers failed, but because the people who control our food have decided it's time for something else. And unfortunately, the people warning us about it are being pushed out first. Over the last decade, something has been quietly fading from America. Small farms are vanishing. Family ranches are being sold off. And no matter how loud these farmers scream, their voices never seem to reach the people in power.
Right now, there's a fight going on in Point Reyes. They just shut down a dozen farms, just like that. It's a fight that was going on for the last 8 years. Really doubled down on those farmers 2 years ago, and they put a gag order on them, so they couldn't even ask the community to stand up for them.
Let's be clear about something. Farmers aren't disappearing because they're no longer needed. They're disappearing because they're being eliminated, since that's the first part of their plan. First, they enforce restrictions, rules so impossible that growing food becomes a fight against the government, not the land. Limits on water, limits on livestock, limits on how, when, and even if the farmers can plant their crops.
Today I wanted to talk about what's going on in Idaho, because some of you have probably heard about this, but the state of Idaho has put a water curtailment order, which is basically a water shutoff order on literally 500,000 acres of farmland. That's a lot of potatoes.
It doesn't feel right to be sharing bad news. It doesn't feel right, but it's at that point where we need help. I guess we're sounding the alarm.
DLCD, Department of Land Conservation and Development, has come out with a policy recommendation that, if it's adopted later this year, will make it virtually impossible for agritourism to survive.
The DLCD rules will put the nails in the coffin for us.
Right. If you enjoy a U-pick, if you enjoy farm-to-table dinners, if you enjoy pumpkin patches, if your kids enjoy a hayride or a cow train, these are the kind of things that we and other farms are going to lose.
And when these rules don't break them, the crippling debt is there to finish the job, because debt is just a financial trap designed so that the moment a farmer slips, he can never climb back out.
Walmart gets to participate, if not set the prices of their products. Do the farmer and rancher? No. They're dictated their prices by various means. The Chicago Board of Trade, various other things. Let's take, for example, the price of wheat. The price of wheat is roughly around what it was in the 1990s. I think the national average was somewhere around $3.50 a bushel. Today, I just looked up a local report. It's around $4.67 a bushel. Now, can you imagine if you were alive in the 90s and had a job, if you had to live in 2025 off of your 1990s salary or wages? Yeah, how would that work? So here's the next part. Let me explain. So the average farm is in debt about $250,000 to around $1.8 million, and that's an average. Farmers and ranchers carry $376 billion worth of debt. That's the mom and pops. That's the people trying to sit around the table at the end of the year and figure out how the hell they're going to make their payments to their banker.
And if somehow, against all odds, some farmers still manage to hold on, they just take away your land without any hesitation whatsoever. Eminent domain, environmental protection, and infrastructure needs. They always find a reason.
What about the workers? Well, here's the thing. NGOs and NPOs backed by billionaires are not considering your food system, and they're definitely not considering the people that are affected by this, the employees and workers that farm and feed you. Hundreds of families are being left to figure out what to do after their housing is going to be eliminated by these NGOs and NPOs that are attacking and going after farms. Here in Point Reyes, after all these ranches leave, all of these employees are going to be without their housing, as well as having to figure out a new career.
This is Andy Henry's family farm, and his family has owned this property for generations, since before the Civil War.
But what we're working on now is what the town wants to make into housing.
It's kind of hard to imagine.
I don't want to imagine it. It's like, it's hard to think about.
Now, the town wants about half of the 21 acres for affordable housing.
Now, the question is, why is this happening? And why should you even care? Well, the answer is obvious. As real food becomes rare, they are not replacing it with something better. They're replacing it with something cheaper, engineered, and profitable. Something they'd never put on their own plates.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit? People are stupid. I don't buy these products barely anymore. It's not healthy. Now that I know what the in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, look at meat, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You? They couldn't think for themselves. I'm like, you dumb.
Lab-grown meat, synthetic dairy, protein powders made from insects. The floodgates have opened, and all this stuff is now part of our daily nutrition.
Check your labels at Aldi. Their salads contain bioengineered food ingredients. And they're frozen. They're cod, product of China. Product of China. Tilapia, product of China, farm raised.
And our regulations are so weak that these companies don't even have to warn us. They can hide ingredients and rename them in such a way that most people will never even realize they're eating this garbage.
The industry does not want cloned milk and meat labeled, and the FDA tends to agree, saying since the food is no different from what we already eat, special labels probably aren't necessary.
And it gets darker. These foods of the future aren't rising on their own. They're backed by people so wealthy that they can reshape policies with a single phone call.
And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And so we need to change cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat. And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
It's lunchtime at the San Francisco headquarters of Wildtype, and company founders Justin Kolbeck and Aria Elfenbein believe that what's on the menu is nothing short of the future of seafood. Thin slices of salmon, not caught in the open ocean or even farmed in captivity, but instead grown in their lab.
And that brings us to the final question, the one nobody in power ever wants to talk about. Who is actually benefiting from all of this? Yes, the billionaires funding synthetic food are making money, but they're not the only ones. The real winners sit much higher behind the curtain inside the boardrooms of mega corporations and private equity firms.
One of my neighbors came to my farm last week and told me something absolutely terrifying. He owns over 100 acres of land right across the street from my farm. He owns everything out here to that house in the distance, and it is a hayfield for his horses. He pulled into my driveway to introduce himself to me, and we started talking. And we were just talking about different trends that we're noticing in the area and what's happening to farms and all of these different investment firms that are coming out of nowhere to buy up this farmland that is for sale right under our noses, and no one even knows it's happening. He told me the other day, for his 100 acres behind me, he has been approached by and pressured by solar companies
to sell his land to them. Multiple times they have come and tried to get him to sell this land.
First, they strip land away from small farmers piece by piece, acre by acre, until the heart of rural America belongs to them. Then, once the land is gone, they flood the market with engineered food. And they can do that because they already own the supply chains, the warehouses, the distributors, the processors, the brands you see on every shelf.
We used to make a fair amount of return on our cattle, but the industry has changed dramatically with the government allowing the consolidation of the meat processing business. 4 companies, giant companies, got together and decided to roll that up, consolidate it, and that's just business.
Hey Steve, what are we doing here?
I'm doing my due diligence on Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's, nice. How did you get that sub prepared?
Well, it's Mike's way. And if it's Mike's way, it's Steve's way.
Why is our PE business so excited about investing in Jersey Mike's?
Well, I think they like to eat. That's one reason. The second reason is we think we can do a great job helping Peter Cancro and his terrific team expand the business.
And here's the part that should make everyone pause. This isn't new. They've been replacing farmers for years, quietly absorbing every industry from pork to poultry. But this time, it's different.
But Smithfield Foods was the biggest pork producer, and Smithfield came into the state of North Carolina. They built a slaughterhouse that could process 30,000 pigs a day. And then they had a partner named Wendell Murphy, who was in the state Senate, and he passed 28 laws in the North Carolina State Senate making it illegal to sue a factory farm. He left and went into partnership with Smithfield, created a way to raise pigs, instead of raising them on farms, to raise them in warehouses called Murphy 1100s. And they dropped the price of pork from 60 cents a pound to 2 cents a pound. It put out of business all 28,000 independent hog farmers in the state of North Carolina, and it replaced them with 2,200 factories, taking control of 80% of the hog production in our country. Then they sold themselves to China. So now China owns all that hog production in America, and it controls our landscapes. And that's the end of Thomas Jefferson's vision.
This time, they're not competing with traditional farming. No, they're erasing it. They're building a future where food isn't even grown. It's printed, manufactured, owned.
So this is an entire study on synthetic food, including lab-grown meat and insect-based flour.
Bioengineered.
Bioengineered. It's basically the pharmaceutical industry taking over the food supply. So the idea is we get rid of farmers, we kill any naturally grown food, and we engineer food in manufacturing plants and laboratories.
And that's the part they never say out loud. If they control the food, they control the people. This was never about farming. It was always about power.